Here we are, and welcome to another episode of Hello Tribe Builder. I'm super excited for our guest today. Our guest is the wonderful and very beautiful this evening, Stacy Moore. Hi, Stacy.
Oh, you shouldn't, Julie. Thank you very much.
So, Stacy, do you want to say a few words about who you are and what you do?
Okay, so I'm Stacy. I'm the lead psychologist of a small educational psychology service in East London, and I am on maternity leave. And during that period of maternity leave, my little boy is 4 months today. I realised that this was a time that I needed to start thinking more about my business. In fact, just before I went on maternity leave, I really needed some time to think through what I was going to do next and expanding the business into areas that I might not have done so before, and definitely taking more of an online kind of view. So I'm also the proud founder of the Nesting Coach as well, which is an online coaching service facility program concept for new mums and mums to be. So that's me.
Yeah, and a kind of a disclaimer here is we've got children in the same class at school, haven't we?
We do.
That's how we know each other. And actually, I can remember when our kids were really small. This is when we first really met, when we were both with tiny little babies for the first time and trying to have a life outside of parenthood. So trying to sneak little conversations about stuff that wasn't to do with being a mum, which felt very kind of sneaky sometimes.
Yeah, generally in the lift.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So so you've been a member of the first cohort of Tribe Builder. Talk me through why you thought Tribe Builder would be a good fit for you.
Okay, so as I said, I was going on maternity leave when I was in the later stages of my pregnancy. I knew you, and I knew the way that you worked, and I knew that you got results, and I was looking for something to keep me accountable, to push me, not kind of shove me, but push me in the right direction. And someone I knew who got me and got what I did and got the way that I needed to work, that I couldn't just kind of 100% go all hell for leather on something. I needed kind of a drip feed of things, as well as to be in a community of other people who were doing similar things. Mm-hmm. So when you first talked about Tribe Builder, I first thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be too overwhelming. I haven't got the time for it. I don't want to kind of jump on board and then not get the benefit for it because I won't be available. But it's turned out not to be like that anyway. So it's been great. But what drew me to it was you and the community aspect as well.
Yeah. And the community aspect was one of those unknowns. We didn't really know what the dynamic would be, what the mix of entrepreneurs would be. Do you want to talk about your experiences of being in that online space with those other entrepreneurs?
Yeah. I mean, another admission is that I'm a bit of a technophobe. And the whole kind of idea of online talking to people that you don't really know, but they're online and you have to get your head around the tech, that threw me a little bit. But what threw me was the idea of it. When it actually came to doing it and interacting with everybody, it has been brilliant. It has been such a great learning experience for me. First of all, kind of being a psychologist, we have this thing called reflective teams when we're doing supervision, and seeing how that has kind of played out in doing Zoom calls with you, with the group. It's almost like a reflective team. And I'm like, oh, I get that concept. I just then hook that onto the tech and then I can understand it. So that's worked really well, having the group calls. So it's worked really well. So I'm really, yeah.
And you're using some of these kind of tech things in your own program now, aren't you?
Yeah, I can't believe I am. So I'm here on a Zoom call with you, and I've used Zoom calls in the Nesting Coach to record the presentations that I do weekly. So it's just been a steep learning curve, but it hasn't felt like it. I can tell it's steep because the amount of things that I know now that I didn't know 3 months ago, but while I was doing it, it didn't feel like, oh God, this is so difficult. Does that kind of make sense? Like I've learned a lot in a short amount of time, but it doesn't feel like it's been really pressure filled.
Yeah. And we talk a lot in Tribe Builder about vulnerability and the fact that none of us know everything. And that together there is enough expertise within the group to maybe not always find the answer, but to at least take a step forward. And, you know, do you want to say a little bit about maybe the moments where you felt most vulnerable?
So I've said about the Zoom calls where you talked about doing having one-to-ones with people and then people watching it. At first I was like, everyone's nodding and saying that's like something normal. I'm like, I don't get what that is. But don't say it because you'll look silly. But when I have said things, I'm like, is this a stupid question? Actually, there are no stupid questions, as you all keep saying. And it's interesting how many things I thought I was the only one that didn't quite get, but other people didn't get them either. So things like the various platforms, learning more about Twitter. So I know you had one of the ladies talk extensively about Twitter. I didn't quite get my head around it before she did that talk, as well as, you know, Instagram and the use of Facebook, as well as using new platforms that you've mentioned as well, kind of the standalone apps that I had no awareness of before you mentioned it. So yeah, it's been invaluable. I have learned so much. So I felt vulnerable not knowing a lot of those things. And yeah, I suppose being on the calls with people who I didn't quite know, because everybody was in the same place of vulnerability, it felt fine. It didn't feel as though I didn't feel as vulnerable as if it was just the camera was on me. Everybody was in the same situation, regardless of how many things people had done before. So in that respect, I haven't felt as vulnerable as I thought I might have.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is, like, you're all experts in your own right.
Yeah.
And this is the interesting thing, is that we have fear and we have vulnerabilities and we have like overwhelm. But ultimately we have our stuff. Like, we have the stuff that's going to change the world, that's going to change our clients' world. But sometimes what we don't have is the packaging and the means to get it to the people that need it.
Really?
So can you talk about some of the shifts that you've had around the business model?
Okay, yeah. So initially, when I came up with this concept of the nesting coach, I mean, it was an aha moment to me because it felt really congruent with the fact that I'm on maternity leave. Not that I've worked with mums-to-be and new mums before, but because I'd done the coaching before, it felt like I could hang that on to what I'm doing now. So that moment of doing, I think I initially thought I'd be doing one-to-one coaching, but the aha moment when I sat down with you was that wasn't necessary. It was about creating a group. And that was just I hadn't thought about it that way. So that's one aha moment. Another one is the idea of subscriptions. Hadn't thought about that at all. That was just, completely random to me. And what else? I suppose things like putting out blogs and newsletters, I thought I had to have some sort of funnel going on so that I do that is I think that had been putting me off doing things before, because I thought, well, if I'm going to put something out, be it a blog or whatever, it's got to lead to something, and then it's got to sell something, and that something then needs to lead to the other thing. But I don't know what those things are yet, and I don't know how to do it. So just don't do it. Don't touch it yet until you know what the funnel is. But you've kind of done away with that, and it's just been great to be able to effectively run a pilot, give myself permission to be vulnerable and visible and do something that's completely imperfect. And that doesn't quite normally match with what my academic or professional life has kind of told me is the way that we do things. Traditionally, it's about, you test it, you get it right, you kind of, before you do something very visible, and you've just done it completely the opposite way around, which is great. And actually it's more the way that I would want to work anyway. Yeah, it feels more authentic that I'm in. It's almost like a consultation with people in situ, as opposed to I'm beavering away in the background and then ta-da, the finished product. It feels a lot more like me. It's given me permission to be vulnerable and be visible, because I don't think my profession has done that. My profession has not given me permission to do that, but you have. Tribe Builder has. That's great.
So my next question actually was going to be a bit about kind of, I don't know, maybe it's a bit of a leading question, but what kind of coach am I? So for anybody considering Tribe Builder, I talk a lot about attracting and repelling. There's definitely going to be people that don't think I'm their cup of tea. So how would you describe the kind of coach I am?
Oh, well, for me, you're the kind of coach where this is going to sound really corny, but I wanted to come back for more. Does that sound weird? Even if it sounds weird, that's kind of like the kind of coach you are is, I mean, you describe yourself as the no bullshit coach, and I'd say, yeah, you are no bullshit. You don't allow us to get away with things saying, well, I need to get my funnel and need to da. I love the way you so eloquently put, can I just challenge you on that? Can I just challenge you on that? Rather than say, I mean, I can imagine in your head, you're like, the bullshit alarm's going off. Can I just challenge you on that? And the way that you do it means that, well, absolutely, you can challenge me on that. Because you're doing it for a reason. From your experience and your expertise, you absolutely would have to challenge someone when they come out with bullshit or things that that are not going to be good for our businesses. And we trust you with that. And so the kind of coach you are, you will call upon your own expertise. You're not going to lead us and say, well, this is the way to do it, but you're going to give us suggestions that we can either accept or reject. Like, just because we reject it doesn't mean that we're now talking bullshit. It just means that that's not the option that we would go with. And you're completely respectful of that as well. So you'll make some really good suggestions. You get excited for us. I get the impression that, like, when we're talking about our business and stuff, like, you will respond to it as though it's your business, like with that level of enthusiasm.
Yeah. You know what it is? I want to do everything in the world. This has always been my problem. Like, as a kid, when they're like, what do you want to be? I was like, I want to be everything.
That was me.
Like, even when I went to university, I wanted to sit in on other people's lectures because I just, so actually this is a dream job for me because I can live vicariously through, and I look at kind of your work, which is so different in vibe to mine. It is very evidence-based, and it is, you have a level of professionalism that I would love to have. So I love to see the way you do things in a way that I simply can't. I just don't have that capability. So I thoroughly enjoy seeing your businesses grow and just unpacking them. And, I genuinely have that excitement.
Oh, thank you. But can I just challenge that? Right. In terms of the professionalism? I think you absolutely are. And thank you. That's very kind. But
yeah, so we are recruiting for new tribe members at the moment. So the way the business model works, it's Tribe Builder is an 8-week program, which we're kind of extending to 10 weeks actually. I don't know who I was kidding that we were going to get it done in 8, but it's kind of a 10-week program.
None of us wanted to leave you after the 8 weeks. That was the thing. Like, it could have been, we were like, oh, can we have more?
Yeah. So the business model is, it's a 10-week course. And then you have the option, if it feels like a good fit, to stay in the tribe for a monthly subscription, which is a very affordable business coaching kind of rate. And we have, I think it's 7 ladies that are staying for the next round, and you're one of those. Mm-hmm. What was the decision? What went through your brain around whether you would stay or go? And so 2 questions here. And what are you looking forward to in the next round?
Okay. So the decision to stay or go, it was interesting when we got to the end point and you'd put out a call of, well, who's staying and who's going, and kind of talked about what it would look like next. I don't know if you remember me already saying to you, I'd already been thinking about how can we continue working together. That was like my number one thing. I was like, right, I've come so far. I want to go even further with this business. I want to think about, because I'm coming to the end of my pilot that I'm running at the moment now, and I'm kind of like, I've got ideas of where I want to go next, but I want to kind of do that alongside you. So how is that going to work? And then you sent the message saying, well, do you want to stay? And I was like, yes. That answers the question that I had. I really wanted to continue working, and it wasn't because we hadn't got far enough. It was because I got so far and I wanted to continue in that momentum. So to me, it was a no-brainer really to kind of say, absolutely, I need to stay if I want to continue working at this level, knowing that I'm still on maternity leave. I've got a lot of things that are happening for me, but I still want to continue with this momentum. I needed to stay.
Yeah. And where do you picture the nesting coach going, say, in the next 12 weeks?
In the next 12 weeks, well, so many things have happened. So the pilot would have finished. I'm having people contact me on email and Facebook asking to join the group. I don't know how they're finding out about it, but people, I guess it's people who tell people, and yeah, I can work out, I guess, where they come from, an Instagram, various things. So there'll be a new cohort starting, but in 12 weeks' time, it will be paid. It will be a subscription at some point. I'm not sure if it will be a subscription for the next round or for the round after that, but I can see this being something, I can see the model evolving to almost be very similar to Tribe Builder, which I don't think is an accident. I think it's looking at I think it feels like experiential learning. So being alongside you and seeing how you've done things and seeing how that model could work within what I'm doing, but I would never have had that idea to start off with. And just seeing it in action and seeing that it works and being part of that cycle working. So 12 weeks from now, I can see that there'll be a paid cohort. Even further down the line, I can see it being a subscription service. But the other thing that you and I have spoken about is, well, maybe not. Maybe it won't be in 12 months' time. Maybe by that time, when I'm back into schools, my attention would have diverted to something else. And that's okay. I think for so long, I had kind of thought, well, you choose one thing and you're going to stick at it and you'll be good at it. And then, in fact, that's what they tell you in a lot of these kind of business ideas. You have to get your micro niche. And once you've got your micro niche, you go hell for leather in your micro niche. But what you and Tribe Builder has done is given me permission to pilot and play in business and learn things about myself as to things that I thought I hated, technology, but then realized I could actually do and would be helpful for my business. I'm actually quite enjoying doing Zoom meetings now. I never thought I'd say that.
Okay, so what I found through doing these interviews is it very much feels like, loads of positive feedback and lots of people saying how great it is, but I said it in the last one, I think it wasn't all sunshine and butterflies and rainbows and unicorns. There are moments of real challenge and real, in some cases, overwhelm. In any online group, in any group, anywhere, there's dynamic shifts that have to happen where people are kind of vying for attention, power, knowledge, all of those things, just like any kind of group of people. What observations have you made about that group dynamic that perhaps you have had to think about or will have to think about for your groups?
Okay, that's a really interesting question. Because I think because it's been so overwhelmingly positive, I suppose the challenges in the group kind of have been minimized in my mind. Like I've completely forgotten about them because it's been so overwhelmingly positive for me. But
my thing in business is about being completely transparent. And like, yes, I'm in sales mode. I want new people to join, but I don't want to feed people a lie. Like, online groups are a challenge. They're full of human beings with human flaws, and I have those flaws too. And we're all finding our way. So I'm just always cautious of just presenting like a glossy view of things.
I mean, I suppose from me, what I can say is you get out what you put in. So if you're going to join your group and just lurk and be silent and not say anything, you're not. You will still get stuff out of it. Don't get me wrong. You will still get value, but you won't make the leaps that I and other people in the group have made unless you absolutely engage. And then also, I think it's about, and this sounds a bit evangelical, I guess. Like I don't like when people say this, but like trust the process. That I've heard people say it before, and I kind of roll my eyes, but I think when people try and kind of like step ahead and try and showcase and be like, look what I've done, this is amazing, and look at me, and I know how to do it, and they're not kind of stopping and doing the reflective work that you've kind of, the tasks that you set for us, and, you know, to get us to be reflective. When you don't do that, actually you're going to trip up, because you're going along on this journey of, maybe some people come to groups for the wrong reason, I don't know, but they've come to kind of showcase how brilliant they are and how much they know. If you're looking for a group to kind of showboat and do that, I don't think it's quite the right group for you.
Yeah. And I guess just to kind of bring the interview to an end, through this process, have your views on business changed?
Yeah.
In which way?
They have changed in quite a few ways. I mean, first of all the people who are in the group, they're all business owners, and they're all very, very diverse. So that it's kind of, I suppose, diversified what my view of a successful businesswoman or business person is. My views has changed in that, seeing business as, I think I said, like a micro niche, and that's the one thing that you do and you have to be known for. That's completely changed. You've kind of, I suppose just even knowing you have got kind of lots of different businesses, but the thing that converges them is you, and that's fine. And also, I suppose the idea of monetizing things and not necessarily doing things, giving away lots and lots of free stuff, because that's not really ever going to get you to a point of making this business work for you. So yeah, my view on business has changed. The business, it's really strange, like even now I'm in kind of an evolution phase of both sides of my business. So my work with schools and colleges, it was very much like going to schools and colleges, and my contracts are with the schools and colleges, as opposed to with individual parents and individual children. So this is my first step into kind of individually working directly with people and asking people to pay me for their service that's going to directly benefit them. So that's, I didn't think I'd be able to do that, but I can. I can. And you've allowed me to see myself in that way, to kind of have a different view of myself.
And I think it's just around different entry points. And sometimes, depending on where we come into business, we have kind of these invisible gates that stop us from going to this other place. And we feel like, you know, there are these gatekeepers either to the real people or to the big corporates or the big organizations. And depending on how we come in, we feel like one is available to us and one isn't. Yeah. When actually it's about solving a solution. Yeah. And once you work out what the problem is and what solution you help, what your solution is, then the rest of it is kind of just to be worked out, really, in terms of what suits you.
Yeah. Absolutely. But it's just, I think it's been great synergy in the group. I really do. And initially you might look at all of our businesses and think, well, what have they got in common for some of us? But yeah, I've been really inspired by the people in the group. I can just think of so many people in the group who their ideas I've kind of gone, aha, that could probably work, or something, some semblance of what they have suggested would work in my group, but it would never have happened if we didn't come together in the tribe. So
yeah,
big thanks.
brilliant. Well, I want to say thank you to you, because I think you did trust the process, and timing wise, it would have been so easy for you to say, I've got a newborn baby, this is not a good time for me. And you have, come on the calls as and when you can. I've been really inspired by your commitment to it, but also not like over stressing about doing all of the things, like being really aware of what capacity you actually have. And I think that's what we need to do as business owners. We can only do what we can do.
Yeah, and I mean, thank you to you for that as well. Gosh, it's been a bit of a cheer fest, this is. Thank you so much. But thank you to you for making it seem possible to do that. Because I mean, there are other people in business or courses I've done in business where I'd have felt really intimidated by being the one with the newborn and kind of trying to, hide the fact that I've got a baby, or just, I suppose, trying to overstretch myself when I know I just have not got the bandwidth or capacity to do something at that point in time.
Yeah.
I think there was a time when my son had really bad reflux one day and we were in the middle of a call. I don't know if you caught the projectile vomiting over my shoulder. But it was okay to just switch the screen off, go to blank, and I could still talk, but
Yeah.
I could save the embarrassment of just being seen with just vomit on me. But you've made it easy to be able to be vulnerable and kind of say, I just can't do that, or I can do that. And it didn't feel as though you were going to be cracking the whip and saying, well, when can you catch up? Because you've treated us as professionals, and that, there are other coaches who I know wouldn't do that. They'd be like, you're either in or you're out, and be very hardball. And you haven't been like that at all. You kind of, you understand the realities that everybody's at.
Yeah, partly because I have those same kind of issues with, I'm surprised that my daughter hasn't got out of bed and come and joined the call. So, this is the reality of our lives. So thank you for joining us today and being so kind of open with your feedback. For anybody watching this video who is interested in Tribe Builder, this is the bit where I always trip up because numbers are not my thing. The deadline for signing up is the 7th, I think, of June, and the early bird price ends on the 31st of May. And I'll put all the links in the comments below. Feel free to contact me if you've got any questions, and do have a look at some of the other videos in the series. I'm going to try and do as many interviews with the ladies that are staying as possible, and in the next round we'll continue to do these, because I actually think whether you join the program or not, these videos in and of themselves will be valuable to business owners trying to find other business owners who are able just to share their experiences. I think that has some value whether people join or not. So thank you for joining us tonight, and I'll see you in the group.
Yay!
Take care.
Bye-bye, Julie. Thanks.
Bye.